played some highlights. Let's go and just fire off another one. Let's go with Harley. Cut number 2 right here with the Stars' triumph from last night.
Slow up. Domi across the line. Finds a cutter. Shot. Score! Thomas Harley, the defenseman, picks the corner. Another goal on the fly for Dallas, and they've got the 2-0 lead.
By the way, I think it was Thomas Harley who is in absolute awe of Miro Heiskanen. I think, and he was like, who did he play, like 31 minutes?
He did.
That guy's incredible. He can do everything. Like, not that he's wrong
they have
about
a little
that.
bromance.
He was fanning so hard after that. He's like, he can do everything. And I just love like that kind of team chemistry and everything like that. But yeah, Harley had himself a nice little game yesterday as well.
I'm glad that you brought up the Heiskanen part too. I want to get to Heiskanen in just a minute.
Because they said he was a game time, and I got nervous, and then.
But
quite well.
I do have some questions about the Harley Hanley line, because I was listening to the Spits and Suds podcast, and I heard Sean Shapiro, who was on with us last week, say that Hanley is a zero-sum player. At the end of the night, like, I know the plus minus, you can do whatever you want with that, but I think he's had one game in his entire playoff history at minus. The rest of it's just he's good. And it's just very consistent. And he said, I think that's a perfect pairing for Harley, who's kind of got this swagger about him, and he just kind of pushes things, and like those two work so well together. And I was just kind of curious, Joey, what like you've seen from that line.
Yeah, and Hanley has somewhat of a tough job to do, where he's not an everyday player. He did not play every game during the regular season, but DeBoer has so much confidence in him that they can just plug him in and he can kind of play with everybody. And we saw that in the Cup run a couple of years ago. He scored the first goal in that Stanley Cup final in Game 1, and he just kind of steps in. And the great thing about him, you don't notice him. And that's good for him.
Especially
you're not noticing him.
Too.
Yeah, if you're not noticing him, he's doing well.
So Mike, for the point of basketball, whenever Luka leaves the court, you want nothing bad to happen, right? Like, you're like, look, if you can just keep the score close so that when Luka gets back, we can kind of push things. That's kind of how you are whenever you get down to the Hanley-Harley line, is you just want things to be, you don't want them to score on this line, so that whenever you get your other guys back on the ice, everything can go. So that would be my comparison to basketball there.
And I'm not saying, as long as we're throwing out, like, because I know people talk about the depth on Seattle, I feel pretty good about the depth the Stars can put forward. Is this series will go at least 6 games. Game 6.
Says you.
I mean, and I
if
guess
you beat him really bad, you get to win 2 games.
Thank you, Joey.
No.
In one.
Appreciate that.
What do you think would be a fair amount? 10 goals?
9.
Yeah, in a playoff game, I think so.
I think
10
9.
goals.
They'll just say, let's
the wrap.
Yeah.
Okay, I support
Didn't
that.
the Stars have a 10-goal game this
They
year?
did against Buffalo
Yes.
on the road.
You just need a shutout too. So, Game 6 would be Saturday.
Okay.
And if there had to be a Game 7, it would be Monday. What's wedged in between there?
Game 6.5.
Sunday, which is Wyatt Johnston's 20th birthday.
Oh my gosh,
buddy.
So, obviously, I would have liked it better if, like, Game
Party?
7 would have been on Sunday. But
Yes.
We're going to have a rager.
celebration party or encouragement party? Is it a celebration party because you close it out in 6, or an encouragement party because Wyatt Johnston still isn't technically old enough to drink a beer, but you want to get ready for Game 7?
I'm sure he
drunk.
won't be getting hammered drunk, Derek.
Oh.
At 20 years old, he can't drink. That's illegal. And we're rule followers here in America. So, like, that's
Are
just
we?
the way we approach things. He would have to just be there with his
Do you
teammates.
go over the speed limit when you drive on the highway?
Never.
Oh, my
Never.
ass.
There we
You
go.
go to the speed limit before you get out of this general, like, block or 2 area. I see that all of the time.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I that is really fun. I really like that you brought that up. Yeah.
All right. Which do you like better? Or that, or Joey, you weren't with us yesterday. No idea what you do with your life when you're not on the
What
show.
do you
either.
do? Like, I was thinking about that. I was like, does he have another job that he goes to, or does he just hang out and listen to us?
Yeah, just go home and turn on the KNC Masterpiece and hang out. Maybe go on the golf course.
All right.
Oh,
You
Oh,
know
a
what?
little golfer.
Like
Okay.
I like
Let's
it.
put that to the test.
All right.
Are you familiar with the hockey metric OGWAC?
I am not familiar with the OJWC.
That's interesting because we talked about that on the show yesterday,
crap.
Joey.
You didn't have to expose him like that. He was just
Come
being a
on.
tolo.
Yeah, has he never heard
I
this
may
show
have been on a
before?
flight.
Yeah, I may have
Kevin.
been on a flight. This
Wow, you're rich.
is the determining factor of who will win this series. OGWAC, of course, is the old guy without a cup. And the leader in the old guy without a cup standings is, of course, Joe Pavelski, who scored again.
6, baby.
And now he is closing in. He is, if he gets 3 more goals in this playoffs, which you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say he does. He will have the most goals of any active player in the postseason. Now, I know we brought this up last week or the week before, how close he was to Crosby and Ovechkin. Ovechkin at 72, Crosby at 71, Pavelski at the... Never mind. He was at a different number, and now he's at 70. I was going to make a joke. It's
Nice.
12:08, and there's high school kids around. So Pavelski now up to 70, and so he continues to be clutch. So I believe his old mandom without a cup will power us through.
I love that because the Stars have a couple of old guys without a cup.
Oh, yeah. Ben, Shooter. But yeah, there's a few of them.
But they made a comment too. It was on the internet about if out of all the players that are out there, who would you want to see get a cup? And they had for the Stars, Pavelski, which I like it, I get it. But this is like, no offense to him, this is Ben's team. How is he not the guy that should be getting that talk about?
I think Joe's a much more universally liked player.
Yeah, but it's still, I mean, I get that, but it's still,
yeah.
You know,
No,
he's
absolutely.
been here with Dallas the entire time, so why wouldn't they put him here? Pavelski, Sagan, those guys have, I mean, Sagan's got a cup already, but those guys have come to this team. This is Jamie's team. Why didn't they give Jamie the, hey, this is the veteran guy that he needs to get the cup?
Why not Suter?
And,
You know?
Well, and both of those were in the top 20 of that metric, but it was just Joe Pavelski was number 1 on the list, which I thought was fascinating. He has had an incredible career. This is clearly something missing from his resume. Now, the other thing is, we talked about this yesterday, and somebody texted in, I'm tired of all the fans who were overreacting when it was 2-1. And I don't feel like we did this. We talked about the parallels between this and the Minnesota series, while also pointing out that Seattle is a different team.
This series has been nothing alike
It
the last
has
series.
been pretty remarkably
one
similar.
thing.
Well,
Name one
game
thing.
one, you lost both of those games in overtime.
Okay, all right.
But we
Name
almost
two.
won.
Name 2 things.
Okay,
then,
well,
Kevin.
in game 2, you had a pretty controlling multi-goal victory.
All right, I bet you can't name 3.
Okay, in game 3, you got your freaking doors blown off.
All right.
Just like in this series.
It didn't respond, I bet, in the game 4s.
Well, guess what?
On
In
both
game
series.
4, after doubts about Ottinger in both of them, you came back and won game 4 to even up the series at 2, going back to Dallas. There are some
you're
remarkable
suggesting
parallels.
Great things happen in game 4. I get it.
Yeah, that's basically all I
That's
learned.
what
Well, guess what? In 5 and 6, we outscored Minnesota by a combined 8-1. So let's do that
was
again,
just saying.
and let's
Yeah.
go home and celebrate Johnston's birthday party and get ready for the Western Conference Finals.
I'm okay with that.
No
If
drinks,
that's what you
though.
wanna do. Yeah,
No
That's
drinks,
right.
bro.
No,
that's
yeah,
illegal.
That's illegal.
Yeah, you make the
Juice.
Western Conference Finals. They're definitely not drinking with him
He'll
at
have
that
to
party.
drink water out of the cup whenever he gets it.
Protein shakes.
But see, I like that. Gotta keep ready. Is how are you guys feeling
Hot protein
about
shakes.
the balance of this series? I realize it's tied. Now it's a 3-game series. Is statistically, it would say it's favored for the Stars because they were the favorite going in, and they still have home ice, depending on what you think about home ice. Because guess what? Every single Western Conference series, first and second round, has now featured a road team winning. How are y'all feeling about the series going forward?
I'm feeling really good, actually.
Okay, I like it, Mike. I like it.
And I really am, and it's because the Stars do have an elite line, and then they're good across the board. Whereas I think, and I'm not trying to kick the Kraken while they're down, they're good across the board. But I just don't think they have that other place that they can get
I
to
agree.
where the Stars do have that. And so when it comes to maybe the Kraken have tipped their hand a little too early and DeBoer has them right where he wants them. And he's like, okay, good. We finally, sealed off the ability to get those stretch passes. And now what's their next move to respond to that? I don't know if they have that adjustment in their bag where it looks like, if the Stars can continue to do this by 6, Kevin, then you may not have to tip like open your bag completely until later on down the road. But the adjustments have been there for the Stars every time something has gone wrong. I would love to see these adjustments happen during the blowout games so that they don't happen like that. But I'm very curious whether or not Seattle has the ability to make a third, fifth adjustment to put them in a good position for the rest of the series.
I'm going to stick with Stars in 6. That's what I said before the Wild, and I didn't change it when they were down 2-1. And I realize it feels like Seattle has, just because they already defeated the defending champs in the first round, would pose more of a challenge. But I'm going to stick with the Stars in 6.
Yeah, I've had Stars in 6 too at the beginning of the series. There's just so many ebbs and flows, right? It just, and both teams, I feel like, get humbled almost every other game where it feels like, man, we can't lose. And then next thing you know, you're kind of getting dominated. I like the Stars' ability to just kind of push the right buttons. It seems DeBoer's been doing that with his lineup changes. He put Pav back on that top line. And they were without Hakanpää, and they lost a couple forwards last night for a moment. Marchment's out. Who knows if he's going to be ready for game 5 because he took that elbow early in the game.
Ben was out for a stretch, too.
Yeah, Ben was out for a stretch. TV Ranta came in, played well on that fourth line. Not a big surprise. He's kind of a round 2, just a killer, I guess, as we saw with the hat trick in game 7 a couple years back. So, yeah, I think DeBoer just has... he just kind of has his fingerprints on everything throughout these few series. He just seems, with taking Hanley into the series against the Wild, taking Miller out, and now he's had Miller back in here for the Seattle team, who's a little bit quicker. His game seems to suit it a little bit more. So I think DeBoer's adjustments keep going a long way, where maybe Seattle's just, they're kind of have to play this consistent game, and if they don't get that consistent effort like we saw yesterday, the Stars can really take advantage of that.
Derek,
I think they've done I was gonna say they've done a great job of just bouncing back after any type of adversity they've had to deal with. They do a good job of preparing and getting themselves right. I just think we need to see more physicality from the Stars. It seems like, as even Spittle said earlier on Sean RJ, that they are when they're aggressive like that or physical like that, they are a Stanley Cup type of team right there. They can't get too comfortable though. They got to continue to keep putting the pressure on them. Ottinger is just, he's going to continue to help us out. I think he's an outstanding goalie. He's going to keep us in the game. Yes, you're going to get a fluke every once in a while. I think if we continue just to see it once a series like we have the past few, that's fine. I'll take that because they continue to bounce back and get the wins. I can't remember what I said, though. I think I said Stars in 7, but I kind of want to go with you, Kevin, on this with Stars in 6.
Do you kind of want game 7, Kevin,
No.
so that you can see how they respond?
Assuming we
Absolutely
win,
not.
assuming we win tomorrow night, absolutely not. If we don't, then I'm with you. But no, I don't need the drama. I don't care about the
love the
TV. I don't
intensity.
care about the TV ratings. If we can close this out in 6.
We don't need
kick
sales.
back. Yeah, kick back and watch Vegas. That's fine. We'll go do that instead.
Yeah, but you don't want to have too much time on. Remember, we talked about this before. Is even
I
though
agree.
you win that series, whatever tomorrow or in whatever
Saturday.
in 6, yeah, you still got that day off. I get it. It's going to be good to get that rest for the guys, so we have a little bit more freshness. But at the same time, you want that momentum to keep going too.
Yeah, I want Heiskanen to have some rest on his body for sure. Like that dude's carrying some heavy load.
Worst case scenario would only be 3 days, because the Vegas Edmonton series can't close out past the 16th. And if you won on Saturday, that's only 3 days. So I don't think you're going to look at an overwhelming amount of rest to go ahead and prepare for, let's just say it, let's be honest, Las Vegas. We told you going into this that the people said Toronto and Edmonton were now the 2 favorites to win the Cup. And we said you can go ahead and disqualify that. Well, Toronto is working really hard to go ahead and make that happen. And then Edmonton trails in their series as well. So when you play Vegas in the Western Conference Finals, try to act surprised.